Give us a brief overview of your background.
I graduated from UCLA in 2018 with a degree in psychobiology. I had originally thought I wanted to pursue a career in healthcare, but during school I developed a pretty strong interest in finance. I worked at a couple internships in undergrad and was able to secure an offer with Wells Fargo's Investment Banking division in their technology coverage group. I've been there ever since.
Why are you pursuing an MBA?
I really wanted to pursue an MBA because I'd never had that traditional undergraduate business education, and I also really wanted to take advantage of the networking opportunities and just the leadership development courses that business school really offers.
What schools did you get into?
Yes, the application season was very exciting. I definitely know applications were up this cycle just with COVID, but I was actually very successful. I got into 2 programs that were my top choices, NYU and London Business School, and I've just been deciding between those 2. I definitely think I'm going to choose London just because I've always wanted to study abroad and really have that global business experience.
What were the most challenging parts of the admissions process, and why did you feel that you needed an admissions consultant?
So I definitely think the most challenging aspect was just having to juggle my applications with having, a full-time job. So I really had a story of what I wanted to show, the admissions offices at the respective MBA schools, but I knew that an MBA counselor would really help me articulate the story and really put my best foot forward and really help me highlight certain aspects that the admissions programs were really looking for. And I think that's sort of what I really wanted help with, and just making sure I was able to sort of maximize my potential when writing my application.
Given that banking is a demanding profession, how did you balance your work schedule with the admissions process?
For me, I really dedicated most of my free time on the weekends towards my applications. I'd sometimes have one-off meetings with my counselors during the week where we'd sort of go over my essays or resumes, but the bulk of the edits and just being able to craft my application, I sort of dedicated certain times during the weekends where I knew I'd be more available, such as the mornings or sort of the evenings. So that's sort of how I was able to allocate my time, just so I could get my applications finished as fast as possible, since my job definitely has a lot of hours involved.
Why did you decide to work with Inspira?
I just really liked my conversation with Kamir. He made me feel like he really understood my story, and he gave me sort of ideas of how we could sort of craft what I wanted to say to the admissions office. And really, I just felt very like the program would give me a very unique application and really tailor it to my strengths and my experiences versus just making it more of a generic application that maybe a lot of investment banking analysts sort of show to admissions offices.
How was your experience with Inspira?
I had 2 counselors who I worked with, Grace and Marion. They were really friendly and inviting, and they were also very attentive. Every time I sent them an email, I would usually get a response, within the next couple hours, and they were really understanding of the timelines that I wanted to submit certain applications for, just because I know some of the deadlines were coming up, and I just wanted to make sure I got my applications in as early as possible. They really understood my story and helped me really craft it and highlight certain things in my essays, especially, and even the short answer questions. LBS has a lot of short answer questions in their applications. They really helped me highlight what I should really emphasize in the applications, especially, being a more global citizen and having a strong analytical background from my work and just having a strong interest in healthcare for my undergraduate degree.
Can you please describe the application plan your consultants helped you outline?
So I started, I would say, in early October, and most of the deadlines were in the first week of January. So it was a pretty tight timeline, I would say, just given all of the work that needs to be done. So I first started out with just polishing my resume and making it, in the business school template. And that took, a couple weeks, and then we moved on to the essays. I think the meatiest essay is sort of why business school and sort of what do you want to do after business school. So that took, I would say a few weeks as well, just to craft and really perfect and make sure that everything I wanted to highlight was in there. And then I would say that by the holidays, sort of like that Christmas, New Year's time, I was pretty much done with my applications. Everything had been submitted, so I definitely gotten them in well before the deadline. So that was really comforting to know, and I was able to have sort of like a stress-free New Year.
What are some aspects of Inspira's support that were most valuable to you?
I remember at the beginning when I first started with you both, I completed a questionnaire that was very comprehensive. It asked a lot of questions about my childhood, what I was involved with in college, what my favorite classes were, sort of even after what I do in my professional life, and then what I do in my personal life, and sort of why I want to go to business school, and it was just all of these different questions. And I felt that once Grace and Mary had read that, they really had a good sense of what I wanted to do. So while I was crafting my essays, they were able to suggest content that I hadn't even written down on paper yet. They just had remembered it from reading sort of my initial assessment. So I thought that was really useful because I think it gave them an added advantage of just being able to see sort of who I am as a person and how that would fit in with my business school. They were very helpful with sort of my timeline, and I was even a little bit stressed out at the offset, just being able to complete everything that needed to be done, in time, and they were very attentive. They scheduled like bi-weekly meetings, and we were always sort of just communicating back and forth of when deadlines were and when I wanted to submit certain things by. So I think that was also really helpful, and they were very, I knew they had done this before, so they were very, at ease and very professional when it came to making sure that I was meeting all my deadlines.
What advice do you have for MBA applicants?
One thing I would advise is maybe that I didn't take would start early and make sure that you have sort of a clear list of what you want to get out of business school and what programs you're really interested in and how you'll be able to really take advantage of those programs and, really be able to develop professionally. I think that's very important just because I know there's a lot of schools and they all are very different, but being able to find ones that are really tailored to your goals, I think will also make you successful in terms of being accepted into those programs.
What are you most looking forward to at LBS?
Really looking forward to living in London and experiencing a new city. I've visited there, but I've never really lived in Europe, so that'll be very exciting. And it's a truly global and very diverse student body. I think Americans account for only about 10% of the student body, so it'll be really interesting to just being able to network with people, from all over the world and who are from a lot of diverse industries. So I'm really looking forward to that. And then also just, I'm very interested in going to consulting and in healthcare consulting specifically after my MBA. So just taking those classes in strategy and healthcare and really developing those skills and, being able to apply them into a lot of, experiential learning programs and just being able to also get experience in the consulting industry in London.
Where do you see yourself in 15 years?
15 years from now, I definitely want to be working in healthcare, maybe not in consulting, but maybe in a role that combines healthcare with social impact. And really, I see myself maybe moving back to North America and working in a position where I can make, healthcare more accessible and increase healthcare equity within the US. So whether that be like a corporate social responsibility role, something along those lines is sort of what I'm hoping to do, 15 years from now.